I want you to picture the last romantic movie you watched. Or maybe the last romance novel you saw at one of those airport bookstores.
Oh, I know exactly the kind you mean.
Right. And what is the end game there? It's almost always exactly the same, isn't it? The grand gesture.
Always.
The frantic sprint through airport security, which, by the way, is completely illegal. Or the guy holding the boombox outside the window in the rain.
It's a formula.
Yeah.
We really are culturally programmed to believe that a love story is only valid if it ends with, a ring, a house, and 50 years of shared tax returns.
Exactly. Shared tax returns and a golden retriever. But here's my question to really kick things off today. If a relationship ends in silence, does that mean it failed? Or is there a version of love that is actually defined by its ending rather than defeated by it?
Wow. That is a massive question to start with.
I try.
We definitely tend to view longevity as the only metric for success, don't we? If you break up, it's a failed relationship, period. But that binary way of thinking completely ignores the transformative power of connections that are just meant to be temporary.
Yeah, temporary but vital.
Exactly. Sometimes the most profound changes in our lives come from people who are really just passing through.
Which is the exact headspace we need to be in for today's deep dive. We are looking at a collection of short stories called Whispers of the Shape of Love by Abdullah Al-Khalifa.
A really remarkable collection.
It is. It's available as an ebook on Amazon Kindle. And frankly, it's the kind of book that makes you want to just sit by a rainy window and stare at nothing for a while. It's so atmospheric.
It is definitely not a beach read. Al-Khalifa isn't interested in the loud, flashy parts of romance at all. He's obsessed with what happens in the margins, the quiet moments, the things that are felt but never actually said out loud.
Right. And today we are laser focused on one specific story from this collection titled The Rain That Never Left.
Even the title gives you a shiver.
I know. It's atmospheric as hell. The mission today for our deep dive is to unpack the relationship between two characters, Omar and Yara, and see if we can understand this idea that silence and ultimately letting go can be a higher form of love than trying to desperately hang on.
Higher form is a really good way to put it.
Right,
It
Skip?
requires a suppression of the ego that most of us honestly just aren't capable of. We naturally want to possess what we love.
We want to own it.
Right. But this story asks for a really tough question. What if you love something enough to ensure it leaves you?
Oof, yeah. So let's set the stage. The setting here is practically a third character in the story. We are in a small town where the rain perpetually falls. It's not a violent storm. It's just this constant, rhythmic, gray backdrop.
It's a heavy atmosphere.
Yeah, and nestled right in this wet, gray world is a shop. It's squeezed directly between a bakery and an antique bookstore.
Which is such a deliberate choice of location by the author. Think about it. You have the bakery, daily sustenance, life, the smell of fresh bread, warmth.
The present moment.
Exactly. And then the bookstore history, dusty stories, the past, and right in the middle, in that crack between vibrant life and static history, you have Omar.
Omar is our protagonist. He's a watchmaker. And the source material gives us this incredible description of him. It says he dedicates his days to mending time, but, and here's the kicker, he is unable to repair his own fractured past.
I think we really need to pause on the watchmaker archetype for a second.
Go for it.
It's a very specific kind of control. A watchmaker works with gears that are microscopic. It's a tiny world where cause and effect are perfectly visible. If you turn this gear, that spring moves. It's orderly. It's perfectly predictable.
Which is the exact opposite of human emotions.
Precisely. Omar has retreated into this world of mechanical perfection because his internal world is an absolute mess. The text says loneliness clings to him like ivy on aged stone.
That image really stuck with me. Ivy on aged stone. Because ivy isn't like a coat you can just take off.
No, it roots in.
It roots right into the mortar. It holds the stone together, but it also slowly strangles it. It suggests that his loneliness is completely structural at this point. If you pulled the loneliness away, Omar might actually crumble.
And he seems entirely resigned to it, doesn't he? He has his safe little routine, shutters open, radio on, rain tapping against the glass. It's a hermetically sealed life. He's the observer.
Right. He watches the town through the window. He fixes their time, but he refuses to participate in it.
Until the disruption hits.
Until Yara. Enter Yara. She moves into the apartment above the bakery across the street. She's a painter, but she's not the loud, chaotic, tortured artist cliche. The source material describes her as being stuck between canvas and reality.
Which is such a great phrase.
What does that even mean to you? Between canvas and reality?
It's that profound feeling of dissonance. She had a grand vision of her life, the canvas where she was going to be this great artist living in Paris. But the reality is that her father died, her engagement fell apart, and now she's living above a bakery in a dreary, rainy town.
She's in limbo.
Completely paralyzed. The picture in her head just doesn't match the world she's walking through every day.
So you have a man who is hiding from time and a woman who feels like she's completely run out of it. It's a perfect storm. But their meeting isn't some rom-com meet cute.
No dropping books on the street.
Right, she doesn't trip and fall into his arms. It's a business transaction. She brings him a broken object.
A small silver pocket watch. And this object is just heavy with symbolism. She tells Omar it hasn't ticked since the day he died. She's talking about her father.
That is a massive amount of pressure to put on a neighborhood repairman. Here is my literal grief encapsulated in cold metal. Please fix it.
But that's what we do as humans, isn't it? We project our incredibly complex emotional needs onto physical, tangible objects. The watch isn't just a machine to Yara, it's the last time her world made any sense.
So if Omar can fix the watch, maybe the universe starts ticking again.
Exactly. And Omar takes it, he examines it in the quiet of his shop, and he says, it's old, but not beyond repair.
And I feel like he's definitely talking to himself there too.
Oh, absolutely he is. It's a moment of deep recognition. The text says something dormant stirs in him. It's not lust. It's not him thinking, wow, she's beautiful.
Right, it's not a physical attraction first.
No, it's the recognition of a shared fracture. He sees that she is broken in a way that he inherently understands. And when she smiles, a wearied smile, the book says, he realizes that maybe he's not beyond repair either.
This kicks off the next section of our outline, which I love. It's called The Architecture of Quiet Love. Because usually, love stories in pop culture are built on fireworks and huge declarations. This one is built on, well, nothing, or at least nothing loud.
It's built on accumulating moments. That's the specific phrase Al-Khalifa uses. It's the anti-romance in a way. It's not about dates or dinners out. It's about pure presence. Yara starts lingering in the shop. She brings pastries from across the street. He starts making tea.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Isn't this just two incredibly lonely people being codependent? Is it actually love, or is it just the comfort of a warm room on a rainy day?
That's the cynic's view, for sure. But look at the granular details the author provides. The source mentions she starts asking about the gears and the springs. She is taking a genuine interest in his world, the exact world he uses to hide from everyone else.
She's stepping into his sanctuary.
Yes. And he starts keeping a cup of tea ready when he hears her footsteps outside.
The footsteps detail is just killer.
It really is. It implies he is actively listening for her. In a town of constant rain and ambient noise, he has tuned his internal frequency to her specific physical rhythm. That's not just passing comfort, that's deep attunement. The text says she listens with her eyes. They are communicating a level of safety to each other that neither has felt in years.
But they never say it. That's the part that drives me crazy as a modern reader. We are so taught to communicate your needs, define the relationship, have the talk. These two are just existing in this murky gray area. Why? Is it just fear?
It's absolutely fear. But you have to understand, it's also a form of preservation. Al-Khalifa writes in the notes that love exists in the space between people who understand each other without needing to explain.
Without needing to explain.
Right. Think about it. Once you label something, you place heavy expectations on it. If they call it a relationship, then they have to talk about the future. They have to unpack her past and his past. By keeping it undefined, they keep it safe. It's a sanctuary.
A sanctuary from the rain. But the fatal flaw with sanctuaries is that you can't live in them forever. Reality has to intrude eventually. And in this story, reality arrives in the form of a piece of mail.
The catalyst for the end. Spring actually starts to break through the rain. Literal weather change mirroring the sudden plot change. Yara comes into the shop, tears in her eyes, holding a letter. A real gallery in Paris wants her for a year-long residency.
This is it. This is the canvas she was dreaming of. It's the escape hatch. But she's totally corn. She looks at Omar and tells him, I thought I had given up on Paris until I met you. You reminded me of who I once was.
And that line is a dagger.
It really is.
You healed me, so now I can leave you. It's the brutal paradox of the healer. Omar fixed her internal watch. He got her ticking again. But a working watch moves forward. It doesn't stay frozen at the moment of grief.
She waits for him to say something, though. The text is super clear on this tension. She is standing there waiting for a word, a reason to stay. She desperately wants him to be selfish.
She wants him to make the hard decision for her. If he asks her to stay, she can give up Paris and blame it entirely on love. I sacrificed my career for him. It's a very romantic narrative. She is basically handing him the gun and asking him to shoot her dream so she doesn't have to leave the warmth of the shop.
And this brings us to Omar's internal struggle, the fears of hope. Why doesn't he just ask her to stay? He loves her, he's lonely. It seems like the most logical move for a human being to make.
But Omar is a watchmaker.
Right.
He understands mechanisms better than anyone. He knows that if you force a gear into a place it doesn't fit, the whole machine jams. He's terrified that if he asks her to stay, he stops being her sanctuary and becomes her cage.
He becomes the reason she didn't paint.
Exactly. And eventually, that safety turns into bitter resentment. The ivy stops holding the stone together and starts crumbling it to dust.
So he takes the bullet for her, he forces a smile, and I can just picture how agonizingly painful that smile is. And he says, "Go, your art deserves to be seen."
It's an act of supreme agency. He loves her too much to let her settle for his quiet little life. He chooses her potential over his possession of her. That is an incredibly difficult thing to do. It's the fundamental difference between saying, I want you, and I want what is best for you.
And so she leaves, and the aftermath is honestly brutal. The shop goes completely silent, the rain comes back, it feels like a massive tragedy.
In a standard Hollywood movie, yes, this is the all's lost moment. You expect him to realize he's made a huge mistake, grab his coat, and chase her down at the train station.
The sprint through the airport.
Right. But he doesn't do that. He stays in the shop. He lets the silence settle back in.
But, and here's where it gets really interesting to me. He doesn't cut her off emotionally. The source material says he follows her career from a distance over the years. He sees her paintings featured in art magazines. And what do those paintings look like?
They are soft blues and grays, reminiscent of rain.
Wow.
This is the key to the whole story. She left the town, but she didn't leave the feeling behind. She is painting the safety he gave her. She is immortalizing their quiet time together in the brightest galleries of Paris.
So they are actually still communicating. He's looking at her magazines, and she's painting his atmosphere. It's a conversation happening across time zones and years.
Exactly. The relationship doesn't end, it just changed its medium. It went from physical, daily presence to artistic expression.
Now, fast forward, years go by, not days, actual years, and we finally get the resolution. A package arrives at the watch shop.
The emotional climax. It's a canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And her art is not abstract anymore. It clearly depicts the quaint watch shop, the constant rain, and a man with a kind face standing behind the window.
She finally painted him.
She acknowledged him. She's saying, I see you. I remember what you did for me. But the real punch in the gut is the inscription written on the back of the canvas.
Some goodbyes are really just love stories that life couldn't finish writing.
We really need to sit with that sentence for a second. Some goodbyes are really just love stories that life couldn't finish writing.
It totally reframes the entire concept of X, doesn't it? It suggests that the story isn't invalid or a failure just because it stopped.
Right. We tend to think that a story is only good if it has a neat conclusion.
Hmm.
But this quote argues that the draft itself was perfect. The circumstances, life, geography, career ambitions just didn't allow the book to be finished. But the chapters that were written, they are absolute masterpieces.
It effectively separates the love from the relationship. The relationship failed logistically, right? They aren't together. But the love was a massive success.
I'd even argue the relationship didn't fail at all. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It got her back on her feet and off to Paris. And it got him to open his heart again. If they had stayed together, maybe they would have grown to hate each other. Maybe the comfortable silence would have become suffocating.
That's the beauty of the unfinished aspect. Because it ended exactly when it did, it's preserved. It's like a fly trapped in amber. It's perfect forever because it never had the chance to get messy and complicated.
Exactly. Sadness doesn't diminish the reality of the love. That's the core moral Al Khalifa is pushing here. We have to stop thinking that grief equals failure. Grief is just love with nowhere to go. And in Yara's case, she put that grief, that love, into the painting.
There's also this concept mentioned in the expert notes about stepping back, that true love actually implies a complete lack of ownership.
It's the hardest spiritual discipline in the world. To be able to say, I love you, therefore you are free, rather than saying, I love you, therefore you are mine. Omar actually achieves that. He steps back so she can step forward.
But what about Omar? Is he just left holding the bag here? Is he destined to just be a sad older guy in a shop staring at a painting for the rest of his life?
I don't think so at all.
Uh-huh.
The author explicitly says he was changed softly. He's not the same broken man we met in the beginning. He was a man who couldn't repair his own past. But now, he has a future. He has a memory that is warm, not cold. He knows he is still capable of deep connection. He isn't empty anymore. He's filled with a very specific, beautiful melancholy.
It's fascinating. In a weird way, he's actually less lonely now that she's gone than he was before she ever arrived. Because before, he didn't even know if anyone could see him. Now he has tangible proof. He has the portrait.
He has been witnessed. And for a character like Omar, who lives entirely in the shadows and spends his life fixing other people's time, being witnessed is the ultimate validation.
It really makes you think about the people in your own life who didn't stick around. The summer flings, the college sweethearts, the close friends you just sort of drifted away from. We usually look back on those with a weird mix of regret, or we just dismiss them. Oh, that was nothing.
But this story challenges you to look at those past connections and say, that wasn't nothing. That was a complete story. It was just a short story.
A short story, I really like that. Not every relationship needs to be a novel.
And sometimes the short stories are the ones that punch you in the gut the hardest
Hmm.
because they are distilled. They are pure, undiluted potential.
This deep dive has honestly shifted my perspective quite a bit. I came into this thinking, oh great, a sad story about a breakup. But it's not really a breakup story at all, is it?
No, not at all. It's a story about deep connection. The physical separation at the end is just a logistical detail. The connection itself remained entirely intact.
Well, listen, if you are driving right now or maybe doing the dishes and you're feeling a little wistful, I apologize. But also, you're welcome, because these are the exact kinds of stories that make you feel human.
It's good to sit with these feelings sometimes. It proves your gears are still turning, to borrow the watchmaker's metaphor.
If you want to experience the full prose for yourself, and we really only scratch the surface of how beautiful the actual writing is, the book is Whispers of the Shape of Love by Abdullah Al-Khalifa. It's available as an ebook on Amazon Kindle. It's a phenomenal collection for when you just need to slow down for an afternoon.
Just maybe make sure you have a box of tissues nearby.
Yeah.
Or a warm cup of tea.
Definitely the tea. Okay, before we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. We've talked a lot about letting go today. We've talked about the painting and the watch. But here's the question. Is the memory of a love that was cut short actually more durable than the reality of a love that slowly fades out over time? Does the unfinished story actually last longer in our hearts simply because we never got to read the ending?
We just keep writing the ending in our heads. That's why it lasts forever.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Thank you for diving deep with us today.